So Gigabyte AORUS thought that they'd kind of dip their toes into the AIO world, and frankly, I kind of wish they didn't. Let's do this. So when you look at these products, so I guess we've got the 240mm, the 280 and the 360, and when you look at them on paper, on the AORUS website, on a retailer website, they look pretty damn impressive. Like they've got every feature that you could physically imagine. They have addressable RGB fans. They've got a nice 60mm screen on there. I mean, what more could you really ask for? As long as the performance is good, looks great, performs great, that's kind of everything. Pricing is where it gets a little bit sketchy because I honestly believe that there's maybe better on the market for the same kind of money. So starting with a 240mm, that's going to be coming in at $190 or £180. Honestly speaking, I think there is a little bit better out there on the market. I mean, it's a 240mm AIO. That's a lot of money for kind of what it is. I get it, it's got a screen on there, but how many people are really going to harness that? And I said exactly the same thing when NZXT brought theirs to market. Moving kind of slightly up the stack, we've got the 280mm, which comes in at $209 or $194.99. In theory, the 280mm should give us a little bit extra performance over the 240mm for not too much more, but it's still a little bit on that more expensive side than I would have personally liked. Then you go up to the 360mm, which I think personally is probably going to be the most popular. But coming in at $229 or £209, I just don't know. But like I say, addressable RGB, so yes, there's some value added there. The 60mm screen, even more value added. The problem was, when we got them out the box, that's where it all just went a little bit wrong. Well, I say a little bit, completely wrong. So looking back at the AORUS website, they claim that with these coolers, you can even cool a Threadripper up to 280 watt TDP. I mean, I'm not surprised with the size of this block. Admittedly, there are ones out on the market from Deepcool and GamerStorm that are probably about the same sort of size, but they have different functionality with the fact that you can take the top off. Hence why I kind of understand that they're a little bit bigger. With this, yes, it has a screen, but the NZXT one was nowhere near this kind of tall. Now, the other problems I have, and I hate this with all AIOs, is this, the amount of cables that it frankly has, and the fact that the fans themselves actually plug in to one of them cables. And the problem that you've got there is this cable. So this is where your fans plug into. So this is as long as that particular cable is. We can essentially plug it in and everything seems a little bit fine. But then when we go to the fan that's, I know, a little bit further away, and we plug that one in, well, this is kind of what you're left with. Now, if you can imagine that inside the front of your case, that doesn't exactly look the greatest now, does it? So that's kind of where things go wrong. Another area where things went wrong was the 240 was fine when we were building that up, putting the fans on. The 280 was fine. The 360, well, it didn't even come with enough screws to mount all of the fans. Hence why you can see that we're missing a few screws here, there, and everywhere. Now, also, upon looking on the website, and we haven't actually even put these on the test bench yet, they do claim that it can cool down a i9-10900K. So that is maybe something that we're going to put to the test. But they also say that if you want to control it, there's two pieces of software. Rgb Fusion 2.0, which is not the greatest software out there on the market, and it probably sounds like I'm being overcritical, but to be fair, any software from any brand pretty much sucks at the moment. Sorry Asus with your AuraSync, sorry MSI with your Mystic Light, they're just not great pieces of software. But it doesn't just stop there with AORUS. From what I can see, you need Rgb Fusion 2.0 to do all of that, but when it comes to the screen, you actually need AORUS Engine. Now I know that they are trying to work on sort of amalgamating all this together, but I don't want to install two pieces of software on my computer just to get it working. It's frustrating. Now, when it comes to the screen, it has some really nice features there. There's different modes that it has. So to start with, it has an Enthusiast Mode. This allows you to show your CPU temperature. This is the processor I've got. Come and have a look, guys. Look at the temperatures I'm getting, because this bad boy can keep a Threadripper cool. The other modes above and beyond that give you a little bit more detail. So there is the function mode. This shows you your CPU and your fan status. And then the last mode really is the custom mode, where you can put your own text on there, your own images, all sorts of stuff, like we've seen, very, very similar to the NZXT Z73, 63, and all them other models that we reviewed a little while ago. Now, my major problem with this is I actually think the radiator looks quite nice. I mean, it has some nice Aorus branding on there. It looks very much like a radiator, but it has a nice finish to it. It looks like it's good quality. The problem with that stupid cable is the fans. And this is where it kind of all goes wrong, because the fans look absolutely terrible. I mean, on the box, and I'll show you, it looks pretty damn awesome. I mean, look at them colors. It's oversaturated, and someone did a really good job at photoshopping it, but it looks amazing. And then when you actually see the fans, things really start to go downhill because, well, they have a weird shape to them. They're not actually equal on all sides. This fan here doesn't join with this fan here. Firstly, there's a gap. Secondly, it's actually higher here than it is here. And then on this fan, it's higher here than it is here. And yes, we've tried every single different configuration and rotation of it. It just doesn't work. And frankly, it looks god awful. I don't know who designed them. I don't know what their thinking was, but it looks terrible. And it doesn't just stop there, because if you wanted to go for, say, a push configuration, a pull configuration, a push-pull configuration, these fans are not the ones for you. Because even though this looks terrible, you can't even flip them over, because where the fan sits a little bit like that, you can't actually basically bolt it into the radiator because it kind of teeters about. So I'm even now at a point where, what is the point in even testing it? I mean, is that enough of a saving grace if Aorus were to come out as, you know, this amazing performance powerhouse? I honestly can't see it happening, but let's get a test bench out and see what it does. But in all honesty, I'm not that hopeful. So everything's now, I guess, booted up, and yeah, I was perfectly right that we have two pieces of software. So essentially what we've got is Rgb Fusion 2.0 to take care of all the RGB, and then we have Aorus Engine to deal with other aspects of it. It's a little bit clunky, I've got to admit. I mean, for the first part, looking at Rgb Fusion is, let's say, not the greatest software out there, but like I mentioned earlier, it's no worse or no better than the likes of Polychrome RGB from ASRock, Mystic Light from MSI, as well as Asus Aorus Sync. Now, when you go on here, the biggest problem that I've got is everything software-wise is pretty okay. The problem is with the actual lighting effect. So at the moment we're on Wave, which kind of goes through various different colors. But as soon as I go to something like Rainbow Loop and click apply, there's like a flash in between sort of the RGB changes. So it goes around a cycle, then it flashes to nothing, then an RGB cycle, then flashes to nothing, and so forth. So that's kind of one gripe with it. I'll turn it back to tricolor because I can just see it in the corner of my eye. Now, when it comes to RGB, the Aorus Engine, this is where things get even worse. So you can put your own custom image on there. You can browse and you can put that on there. You can put custom text. So, you know, I could literally put in the words eTeknix and confirm it, and that will take effect. You can also change the fan mode, which at the moment is set to balanced, and it's very much not balanced. It's quite loud. So I guess the only other real models that are out on the market that are very, very similar to this are going to be the likes from Asus and also from NZXT. Now with the NZXT one, when you go into the cam software, which admittedly used to be bad, it is getting better, but when you go in there and you want to change something like even just rotating the screen, which you can do in this, it takes about 2 seconds to do. So you click apply and then 1, 2, and it's pretty much done. Now look at this. So this is your image rotator down here. And you can basically go clockwise or anti-clockwise. I'm just gonna go like this, and then I'm gonna click apply. And it's gonna tell me that it will take a few minutes to rotate the screen angle. And I've got to admit, when I first saw that, I had to take a double kind of second take. A few minutes. Do you want to continue? While the image rotator is executing a process, Rgb Fusion 2.0 and lighting control will be temporarily turned off. Do not plug/unplug any USB devices during the process. You think, how bad can it be? A few minutes. You click yes, it closes Rgb Fusion, the fans ramp up to, you know, beyond belief again, and then you get this little window pop up, which tells you erase image. And what it's actually doing is essentially it's flashing the AIO. It's completely wiping all settings that you had on there, and it's re-putting them on there. Even though we've only essentially changed one setting, you'd think that it should just be able to change that on the fly pretty damn quickly, but it clearly can't. So it's going to erase the image. And now it's downloading the image. And this all takes time. So when it said this could take a few minutes, they really weren't lying. So it's finally actually done what it was supposed to do, and admittedly it took a lot longer than what it should have done, and I'm not too happy about that. Now, the only real saving grace that Gigabyte AORUS might have is the fact of the performance claims. So they have claimed that you know, this can keep a Threadripper nice and cool, and it can keep an i9 10900K cool. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to open up Prime 95. We're going to run up HW Info. Because with these new processors, that's pretty much one of the only software suites out there that can show us the temperatures that we need. We're going to run blend, and unless this is just, you know, unparalleled performance, I don't know, I'm just not, I don't know what to say. So we're going to leave this to run for about 3 to 5 minutes and sort of see what we end up with. So I've got to admit, colour me impressed, because the performance is pretty damn decent, at least in Prime 95. Now I'm actually going to stop Prime 95 and I will tell you the temperatures that we got, but I never ever use Prime 95 for testing. And admittedly this has got even louder, so it's at 1600 RPM. As soon as I stop it, it's much more bearable. So I'm going to run W Prime because that's what I'm kind of used to. But in terms of the temperatures, it did not go kind of above and beyond 57 degrees. So I'm very happy with kind of how that performed. Now, I'm going to go onto here, W Prime. We do have to set the core count and run 1024M. And again, we're just looking at the temperatures, which that's where we really see when things are going up. So I can kind of understand why AORUS really wanted to shout about the fact that it does great in Prime 95, because in Prime 95, they probably did the same test that I did, a blend test. And yeah, it was showing temperatures of 57 degrees. Now that we're running something that can really harness the full power of every single core, we're sitting at a maximum of 81 degrees, which still is pretty impressive in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you'd expect it to be that good based on the noise, which you guys probably can't really sort of, you know, grasp as to how noisy it is. But when you're sitting in the situation I am with your ear next to it, it is very noisy. Also, for the sake of transparency, 24.6 degrees in this room as an ambient temperature. So I wanted to sort of put that out there so that you guys knew exactly what we're kind of dealing with there as well. So the test is nearly finished. The maximum so far is 82 degrees C. I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, there's nothing above and beyond in terms of performance that you wouldn't expect to see in on something like a Noctua D15 or any other 240mm AIO, give or take 2 or 3 degrees. If this was inside a case, temperatures would be 2 to 3 degrees difference. Obviously we're on an open air test bench, so again, want to sort of mention that for clarity and transparency reasons. So yeah, I'm not even sure how to end this video other than Gigabyte, you tried, but in my honest opinion, I think you failed. And I think you've done a very bad job on the fan design. I think you've done a bad job on the integration with the software and the fact that you need 2 pieces of software to get it running functionally how you'd expect it to run. And performance, while it is okay, it's not exactly groundbreaking, and it is overpriced for what it is. I've got to give you your effort and your dues, I guess, for trying to do something a little bit different, but in all honesty, it's just not paid off. So back to the drawing board and go from there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Do you agree with me, or do you think I'm maybe being a little bit too harsh on Gigabyte? I just can't see a silver lining with this product at all. It just has so many flaws in so many areas that, yeah, I really don't know what to say. For once in my life, I think I'm actually lost for words. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know exactly what to do, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.